Trump, because Trump is the biggest news in the world right now. And I know it's not strictly Canadian, but I think that what happens in the US, specifically around the 2020 election, around Build Back Better, around Joe Biden, around all of the things that are happening around self-governance, all of it that's going on, Donald Trump might be counterpunching, but he might have already lost. But I'm interested, and this is what's the most recent news is. Donald Trump on Truth Social says 231 million views and still counting. The biggest video on social media ever. More than double the Super Bowl. Please excuse me, I have to start getting ready to head down to Atlanta, Georgia, where murder and other violent crimes have reached levels never seen before, to get arrested by a radical left low-life district attorney, Fani Willis, for a perfect phone call and having the audacity to challenge a rigged and stolen election. The evidence is irrefutable. Arrest time, 7:30 p.m. So, and get arrested he did, and he returned promptly to Twitter that night to share his mugshot. Here it is, mugshot, August 24th, 2023, and he's got a website link. It's donaldjtrump.com, and it says, election interference, never surrender, donaldjtrump.com. And if you only look at the first letter of each line, it spells end, E-N-D, end. I don't know what it means. Probably just a coincidence, right? I mean, Donald Trump doesn't do things like that. No. Right? He's too dumb, right? Complete moron. Total idiot. I don't know. Roseanne Barr says Trump's mugshot is so hot. My wife said, is that seriously his mugshot? And I said, yep. And she said, he looks badass. I was like, yeah, he sure does. So very interesting stuff. Here is Donald Trump addressing the press after his arrest and mugshot. Here we go.
This is a very sad day for America. This should never happen. If you challenge an election, you should be able to challenge an election. I thought the election was a rigged election, a stolen election, and I should have every right to do that. As you know, you have many people that you've been watching over the years do the same thing, whether it's Hillary Clinton or Stacey Abrams or many others. When you have that great freedom to challenge, you have to be able to, otherwise you're going to have very dishonest elections. What has taken place here is a travesty of justice. We did nothing wrong. I did nothing wrong. And everybody knows it. I've never had such support. And that goes with the other ones, too. What they're doing is election interference. They're trying to interfere with an election. There's never been anything like it in our country before. This is their way of campaigning. And this is one instance, but you have three other instances. It's election interference. So I want to thank you for being here. We did nothing wrong at all. And we have every right, every single right, to challenge an election that we think is dishonest, that we think is very dishonest. So thank you all very much, and I'll see you very soon. Thank you.
Very interesting, right? So been arrested, gave a presser, and the whole shebang. And Clandestine says, Trump just stole the show from the left and what was supposed to be their day of celebration. They got more indictments. They got the mugshot. The Trumpers were supposed to be sad and defeated, yet somehow Trump won the day. Art of war, right? Back on Twitter, massive, massive social media numbers for his interview with Tucker Carlson. And what does the interview with Tucker Carlson mean? Here is Tony, and he says, here is the impact of what just happened. It doesn't matter. And yesterday, I have watched the interview now. Yesterday, I said, I haven't seen any clips on social media. It means that usually if you don't see any clips, there is no big booms. There is no like, here's irrefutable proof of election interference. Here's Hillary Clinton's email server that we had all along. Or here's, no big revelations. But the thing is, the major revelations have happened over the last 4 years. The election was stolen, and it's pretty obvious the election was stolen. And there are big revelations within that space that have happened that nobody has really reacted to. So the discussion was interesting. They talked about Epstein, they talked about certain things, but it's almost secondary to the impact of just the fact that the discussion happened at all. Here's Tony to illustrate. Here we go.
Trump won last night, and that's not a debate.
Oh, sorry, it's too fast. Hold on a second. There you go.
23.9 million viewers tuned into Fox, the mainstream media, while as of this moment, 165 million people tuned in to Tucker interviewing Trump. This is the pinnacle of the fake news campaign Trump started 8 years ago. The defeat of the deep state is happening right before our eyes. 165 million people tuned in to a journalist that is not controlled by the deep state, interviewing a man that is not controlled by the deep state on a platform that is not controlled by the deep state. The substance of the interview doesn't even matter. What last night represents does. This moment is nothing short of historic. And when people ask me, why Trump? Because we wouldn't be in this moment without him.
I don't think he's wrong. I think Elon Musk is an interesting conundrum. Every time I look at every single angle, from Neuralink to the CEO to the censorship that's happening on Twitter, I'm not sure I 100% agree with the assessment of a non-deep state owned entity, media entity, Twitter, whatever that is, X. So I don't know that I agree with that necessarily, but it does appear that Elon is letting Trump, he pinned Trump's speech, or he pinned the Trump Tucker thing. He's saying this is game changing. So he has a vested interest in this, but then he controls it though. Right? I don't know. There's angles on angles on angles on angles, right? So it's one of those things where Elon Musk is something that I'm not prepared to say, yeah, he's on our side. You know what I mean? Because there's far too many indications that I don't know. But at this point in time, he's saying that he wants free speech. And at this point in time, it benefits him, it seems, to put forward numbers that seem plausible for Trump to get, right? And that it wouldn't have been able to happen, possibly on YouTube, maybe not on Rumble. I don't know. Twitter seems to be where people are flocking. So that's interesting. So I don't know. What does that mean? Here's Kevin. He says, you guys might not understand how big a deal this is. This is less Trump. This is more kind of global WEF stuff. He says Nicaragua bans the Jesuit order from their country and will confiscate all property. Some of you might be confused about this post, so let me tell you, the Jesuits are the top of the deep state NWO mafia. You know that Nelson Mandela was one of them. I'm sure many will be shocked when the names come out. Let's go. And so I don't know. I don't know if that's true, but deep state Jesuits, I've heard that multiple times, and somebody was talking to me using those two terms interchangeably, and I was like, hold on, which one are we talking about? And then I got schooled on just how the Jesuits fit in, et cetera, et cetera. So if this is true, this is interesting. But again, is this BRICS? Is this people in Africa being offered a different deal than they've ever been offered before, and so pursuing that, so on and so forth? Could be, right? It may not be. It may not be an attack on the deep state. It may just be a coincidence, right? So again, it's the internet. Take everything with a grain of salt. But it's interesting, right? Is this something that is Donald Trump making a big difference in his counter that he set up by running for president in 2016? And I think that he knew what he was getting into, and I think that exactly this fight is exactly what he expected. So I'm interested. Or is this just more of the same kind of opposition that has usually been dealt with and easily disposed, right? Easily, like you get rid of that guy and put in your new puppet, and people forget. Biden got in, and look at the damage he's done, and nobody's been able to stop him. Nobody at all. In fact, attorneys general have been getting on enthusiastically with the witch hunt. Everybody's on board with the DIE, diversity, equity nonsense, even though it doesn't help anybody. Everybody's on board with climate change, destroying our economy now for saving the planet 100 years from now. It's insane. It's completely around the bend loony bins. And so it just doesn't make any sense. It's crazy. I hope that we're able to get rid of the WEF and self-govern and not have these fictional realities that we have to contend with. But I'm not convinced that Canada is ready for that, because it's a really big change from the mentality that we're in currently. Here's Doug Ford. And Doug Ford lives in Ontario and is in fact the Premier of Ontario. And apparently yesterday was Ukrainian Independence Day. And here's Doug Ford to wish you a happy Ukrainian Independence Day. Here we go.
Hey everyone, I want to wish Ukrainians in Ontario and around the world a happy anniversary as they mark Ukrainian Independence Day. We will always stand for freedom and democracy, and I want you to know that here in Ontario,
Does he know that Zelensky suspended elections until after the war? Freedom and democracy. What?
So
And apparently, I mean, we're wishing them a happy Independence Day, and we're also paying for the party. So everybody, open up your wallets. Right? If you got a 20, we got to send some money. They're having a party, and we got to pay for it.
will always support many diverse communities, including our vibrant Ukrainian communities. This day is an opportunity to reflect and celebrate the strength and the resilience of the people of Ukraine. And I wish you all the
What about the strength and resilience of the people of Canada? Listen, I don't have a problem with having the Greek party, the Danforth, right? Like, I don't have a problem with that. If there's I know there's a Ukrainian group of people who live in Alberta, and they're there's a Ukrainian kind of cultural enclave there, and that's great. I have no problem with that. I do have a problem with sending tax dollars to a foreign country for a foreign war that it doesn't have any kind of rational benefit to Canada. There's no benefit. What do we get from this war? What do we get from supporting this war? We don't even meet our NATO contribution. Like, saying we're supporting NATO is ridiculous. We don't even bother to pay the rent. Like, if they kick us out, I wouldn't be surprised, because we're not paying for what what they say we're supposed to be contributing. We're supposed to be contributing 2%. We don't contribute that. So I don't understand why Canada is so fixated. If we were doing the same for Greece, if we were sending millions of dollars to Greece, billions of dollars to Greece, and funding a war against Turkey, let's say, for whatever reason, it would be the same. I would have the same difficulty with it. Same with even the United Kingdom, except I would maybe understand it a little bit more, a little tiny bit more, but not even, because we're our own countries kind of, sort of now, kind of, right? So if we were sending money to England to fund their war against another country, France, for whatever reason, I would say, what do we get out of this? Why are we doing this? Does this make sense? It's not just Ukraine that I have a disagreement with. And if Doug Ford said, today is English Independence Day, good job, Great Britain, or today is Greek Independence Day, I would think that's weird. Like, why aren't you pandering to Canadians? Do you understand that you're the Premier of Ontario, sir? I don't get it. I do get it. I understand why they're doing this, because they've made the Ukraine thing super popular, etc. And everybody should be on board with Slava Ukraine and Ukrainian independence and democracy and all this crap. But democracy doesn't exist in Ukraine. I'm pretty sure there's Azov Nazis in Ukraine. And it's really strange to have reality shrouded in this newspeak kind of false, we must defend democracy, and defending democracy means sending money to Ukraine for this war, and blah, blah, blah. And, Ukrainian independence, blah, blah, blah. It's all fictional. It's not real. It's false. And it ignores the reality of the situation. It's ridiculous. And it just bothers me. It bothers me more than I can articulate properly. Hello, everyone. Thanks very much for watching. This is just a short version of a longer show. If you'd like to get the whole show, you can go over to CanadaPoly.com and sign up for a subscription. Just look in the drop-down tab for Shop and Donate and look for subscriptions, and you'll get immediate access to the full show. Love to see you. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a wonderful, wonderful